Hey, good morning.
Hey,
How are you?
good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking. Um,
This is our Friday morning legal questions and answers show, and Chris Maher and Michael DiRienzo, as always. And Michael, I understand that some people have expressed an interest in a discussion being had about this recent fatality involving this football player from the Las Vegas Raiders, Henry Ruggs III. Uh, so, uh,
that's right, Chris. It's an unfortunate story which has been very prominent in the news here recently, especially as if the NFL is one of, if not the biggest sports league in the United States, and this individual who I believe was a wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders was recently, he was a very good football player, and recently, unfortunately, a tragedy occurred where he was driving 155 miles per hour under the influence, and actually caused the death of an individual. And so, as a one of the leading driving under the influence attorneys in the area, we wanted to talk to you to get your thoughts on the matter. And as this is one of the most popular stories out there today.
yes, Michael. The At this point, he has been charged with what the Nevada equivalent of DWI is, that we know it to be DWI in New York, but
Mm-hmm.
the news reports are referring to it as a DUI, which is in in theory the same type of charge. It's alleged that he had 0.16 blood alcohol. It's not clear to me yet whether it was by a breath test or a blood test, since he was treated in a hospital for injuries that he suffered in this accident. But again, at this point, it's just charges. It doesn't mean that he's guilty and he's presumed innocent. People are familiar with the phrase presumed innocent. People say to us all the time, you know, why do these things happen if I'm presumed innocent? Why am I in the newspaper or whatever?
Exactly.
It's the same thing with this incident involving Mr. Ruggs. Um, he's just charged at this point with what the facts reveal is a horrifying sequence of events that resulted in the death of a driver of a vehicle that he rear-ended. And as you indicated, it's alleged that he was driving at 155 miles an hour uh,
Right.
in the
So
early morning hours earlier in the week.
how does that and again, we're all understanding that this is still early in the process, but again, as it is a hot button topic, I know a lot of people have asked questions about it. Is how is a but I guess, is speeding like an aggravating factor? Is that going to take into the type of um, the type of charge that he has, or potentially new charges?
It is speeding is an aggravating factor. Just if there's no allegation that he was DWI, or as they're referring to it, DUI, just the speed factor alone, which I suspect that they probably, although the news reports that we've been reading don't reveal how it was determined that he was going that fast. There are computers in all cars. This was apparently a 2020 um, model Corvette, um, and that car has computer technology in it that can preserve, if you will, information about the speed of a vehicle in the moments before, in this case, a crash occurred. The reports are that the car was still going at approximately 130 miles an hour when it rear-ended this vehicle on the streets of Las Vegas earlier this week. So speed alone, if there was no allegation that the person was impaired or intoxicated, and in this case, the reports are that he was intoxicated, but even if that was not part of the equation, the speed would become a serious aggravating factor, because there's nowhere that I'm aware of, even in the state of Nevada, where somebody can reasonably and safely travel the roads doing a speed in excess of 130 miles an hour, which was as I said, which was the speed at which the airbags deployed in the Ruggs vehicle.
So one of the things that you touched upon earlier is that, or was that, he's presumed innocent. Yet a lot of people ask you all the time, like especially in some of the smaller areas, perhaps around where we are in the Putnam County area, where you're in the newspaper, and how does that occur, where it's almost like a trial by media in that way? So you're almost guilty before you're even set foot in a courtroom.
Well, in this case, it appears from the news reports as though Mr. Ruggs employed attorneys very early on in the process. And I suspect, based on the notoriety of the alleged crime and his background as a member of the local pro NFL football team in Las Vegas, that he didn't have a problem with finding who was a leading attorney in that area in this type of a case and employing their services, because there are comments attributable to those attorneys that were occurring within hours of when this event unfortunately occurred. It goes back to what we always say, which is that don't attempt to defend yourself, and don't think that if you speak to members of law enforcement in the course of an investigation that may occur, or in the course of being stopped by law enforcement, don't think that if you just speak to them that it's all going to go away. Because in Mr. Ruggs' case, we're finding out, as these hours have turned into days, that Mr. Ruggs' predicament, if you will, even though he is presumed innocent until proven otherwise, that Mr. Ruggs has some serious legal issues that he's going to have to address. And even though he is clearly well known, if nowhere else, in the Las Vegas area, where he's a star receiver on the local NFL football team, that Mr. Ruggs has himself lost a job already. Mr. Ruggs has himself already been placed on home confinement, and has things like had his passport taken from him, and has been ordered by the judge who arraigned him to refrain from consuming alcoholic beverages, and to wear some type of a device that would detect the consumption of alcoholic beverages. In New York, we call it a scram bracelet, but it's some type of device that operates on the same theory, and that he's been ordered to remain in his home. So he's had significant privileges already taken from him, despite the fact that, as we continue to reiterate, he is presumed innocent until proven otherwise.
So on that note, one of the kind of I guess closing thoughts would be, is, generally speaking, do you think the fact that he's, as you said, or I guess previously was a well liked and quite good star receiver for the only team in town, do you think being that well known and famous actually hurts or helps him possibly get a better deal, hurts him, or is it just kind of too early to tell at this point?
Well, I think in this age of real time, um, the if this same situation occurred long ago, um, the publicity involving it would not have spread like a brush fire on a prairie the way it has with Mr. Ruggs' case.
Mm-hmm.
I tend not to think that, or I tend to think that that does not uh, help him, but his uh, financial circumstances as a result of his athletic endeavors have at least placed him in a situation where he can afford to hire counsel um, to defend him and have them get involved in the case um, quickly.
Right.
Um,
Well, that's
not
one of the. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
no, what were you saying?
I was going to say that that's one of the good things, though, about you is that doesn't matter how successful you are, or whether or not you're good at football. If anybody needs help, or if you have a DWI or other criminal type of case, we're willing to talk with anybody. And the phone number at the bottom is 845-228-5100. And yeah, where we look forward to kind of getting your thoughts more in the future as this case unravels a little more.
Yes, and we'll obviously discuss it. It's not a case that's going to vanish from the headlines anytime soon, I don't think.
I
And
think you're right on that. So
yes,
until next time, Chris, it's always a pleasure.
thank you, Michael.